Hello everyone, this is Anuradha Sharda and I extend a warm welcome and a heartfelt namaste to one and all. Today I'm going to talk about Angarak Yog. But before that, I thank all of you for seeing my videos, watching my videos, leaving your comments and sharing the videos and also giving in your suggestions. We definitely love to work on the suggestions put forward and will plan to bring in more and more videos on the suggested topics. So with this, let's start with Angarak Yog. I would be explaining what Angarak Yog means. I would also tell you what its effect is going to be in all the 12 houses. And at the end of the video, we will also take up the section on what can be done to redeem this Angarak Yog. So let us begin with Angarak Yog. The combination of Mars and Rahu in a particular house causes Angarak Yog. This is a very dangerous yog, and as per Lal Kitab, it is also called the Pagal Hathi or the mad elephant. And when we understand this analogy given by the Lal Kitab, we can understand the kind of danger it can bring into us. Because Mars represents the energy in our chart, it represents the passion, the anger, the aggression, and Rahu being a planet that aggravates whatever the karakas of the planet it is sitting with. So it can aggravate these passions, these anger, and the aggression to a level where it is uncontrollable, goes out of hand to the extent that the person can actually not be aware of the kind of hidden anger, hidden depths that a person actually has in her or his chart. Also, this combination is particularly dangerous when happening in the 4th, 8th, 9th, and the 12th houses. But it is also very, very it represents a kind of a shrapa or a curse on the person if it happens in the 3rd house. Why so? Because in the 3rd house of the natural zodiac, Rahu gets exalted, or it is the sign of Rahu, that is the Gemini, and the 3rd house is also a very strong hold of Mars, because Mars represents the 3rd house. It also represents your courage, not to forget your younger siblings, all seen from the 3rd house. So in the 3rd house, it could portray that you could be cursed, or you could have had a very bad in some past lifetime, you could have had a very bad relationship due to whatever reasons with your siblings, and in this lifetime it is your turn to repay them. So we move on to the Angarak Yog. For more details, you can also read this on my website www.anuradhasharda.com. This yoga has the ability to bring both the good and the bad results. Let's be very clear. If this Rahu and this Mars are in very good house, and if they are they're moving on a good level, then they can actually bring in good results. But the problem with them is that they are not very defined, they're not very structured, in the sense they can be a lot of fluctuations, a lot of ups and downs can be seen, which can be really very tiring for the native when you don't know what's going to happen next. Also, it in a female nativity, there can be problems with children as regarding bearing the children, and in a male nativity, this can create problems with this yoga, Angarak Yoga, can create problems with your mental stress. It can cause fluctuations in your wealth structure, and it can also give disruptions in your life. So the Angarak Yog in the 12 houses of the chart. In the 1st house, Angarak Yog can make a person unhappy, can make the person distressed, angry, and there could be a lot of problems happening in a person's life because of the rash or wrong decisions the person could have taken. In the 2nd house, this Angarak Yog causes dissatisfaction in a person. It could be due to wealth, because 2nd house represents wealth, and the 2nd house also represents family. So this person can also have problems and dissatisfaction because of family, and there would be problems relating to breathing when a person approaches middle age, and loss of money. In the house, Angarak Yog can cause problems with brothers and problems with the involvement of brothers. It can also cause problems to mother's health. Let's not forget the third house is also the division of property, and there can be serious problems with brothers as related to the division of property. In the fourth house, this Angarak Yog can cause problems with decrease in happiness of the mother. In the third house, it's about the health of the mother. In the fourth house, it is about the happiness quotient of mother. There can be problems with real estate. This person may not be able to get a real estate because fourth house is also real estate. If this Mars is badly afflicted, then it can cause real estate problems. Or if it is not badly afflicted and Rahu is also moving on a great curve, it can give you a lot of money from real estates, but you never know when they might be a U-turn, complete turn. There can be also stomach disorders, vehicle pleasures can be greatly reduced, and marital happiness can have take a toll. In the fifth house, Angarak Yog causes problems in conceiving a child. There can be problems with children also, and your learning abilities can be a little restricted, and the sporadic income that is associated with the fifth house can be a little challenging. In the sixth house being the house of health, the sixth house being the house of your your repus or the enemies. It is also the house of the maternal cousins and the maternal aunts and uncles. So there can be problems in that side. And because Mars represents blood and Rahu can escalate that problem, you would definitely on a later stage would know how to handle this problem, would be able to come out of it. But initially, it can be a little misleading and it will take a long time for you to understand what's wrong with you, especially if there is a blood disorder and a health issue. There can be anger and there can also be eccentricity. These things are associated with Mars and Rahu respectively, and you can see the sixth house being a cause for all that can inflate it to a great extent. Angarak Yog in the seventh house gives delay in marriage, hindrance in business, fluctuation factor, they, a very daring mentality, but it may not be very uh, good for the person concerned, and there can be distance between husband and wife. Always remember that Rahu and Mars can, even if they're in a good house, they can give you courage, they can give you plenty of stamina because they are in, and especially if they're in good position. But there's a key factor that may be afflicted, and that is the living factor associated with that house. So that needs to be firmly checked at most intervals. In the eighth house, this Angarak Yog can cause a lot of mental anguish, stomach problems, especially in the middle age, opposition from others, loss of heritage, that is family property, and there can be loss of kith and kin also. In the ninth house, Angarak Yog causes a person to move away from his religion, think on a different level, and there can be unfortunate experiences of bad luck in religion, instability from brother, sufferings of the brother and also of the mother. As we move to the 10th house, this Angarak Yog can give the father a hard life, especially relating to the work of the father. There can be loss in social prestige, problems with the birth of the child, and failures in businesses. In the 11th house, this Angarak Yog can cause income reduction. We generally associate the 11th house with our normal income, or which are fixed income, which are steady income, or stable income. So there can be problems with the stability of the income. Again, when we're talking about the 11th house being 6th to 6th, this 11th house can have a problem with our with our health issues and anger issues also. Let's not forget that 11th house is the Badhaka house of the natural zodiac. When we move on to the 12th house, as I have already stated earlier, placement of this Angarak Yog in 4, 8, 9 and 12 can be little dangerous, and with the third house it actually is showing a great deal of Bhratri Shrapa, or the curse of the brother. These houses can show problems. So the 12th house, it can cause excess of physical suffering, air disorder, anxiety, and it can also show pain in bones. Now we move on to a chart. We move on to a chart of Albert Einstein, where we see how this yoga fructifies in his life. As I had told you, the 8th house is not a very good position, not a very conducive position. But here we see an Angarak Yog in the 8th house in Albert Einstein's chart. Mars is the lord of the 6th house and the 11th houses. Both houses, I told you, were associated with diseases, with enemies. Albert Einstein, let's not forget the 8th house is also the house of Mangalya, or it denotes the period of marriage. And in this house, when Mars and Rahu is present, it cuts down the marriage age by quite a distance, and here Mars is very strong, so it can give an adverse effect. Albert Einstein was married twice. The first time he did have a lot of issues with his wife. The second time, the lady he married, it was again a love marriage, and he was very much in love with his wife, but unfortunately she did not survive for long. On the second ground, about stomach disorders, more than half his life Albert Einstein was living on medicines for stomach ailments. He had the huge number of ailments of the stomach, and that can be seen from Rahu and Mars in the 8th house, forming the Angarak Yog. Finally, when we are talking about kith and kin and loss of family property or inheritance, due to the Nazis, World War II, he had to leave Germany, he had to shift to US, and the entire property, family, kith and kin were property as such, there was nothing he could do about it. Kith and kin, a lot of family members were also sacrificed in that World War II. So this is what we see about the example. Now we move on to one sector of the upayas. The first thing is do the mantras of both remedial measures as we see it, the mantras of both the planets, that is Mars as well as Rahu. For the Angarak Yog, it is also very essential that the brothers be really, the siblings actually, the younger siblings actually be treated properly. Understand that I told you in the beginning that it could be formed due to the shrapa or the curse of any younger sibling when they were probably mistreated. So it could be a repaying time. There should always be a communication open, how to solve certain issues, so that you've lived it out. Otherwise, you might have to carry it forward. Do not be rash. Do not be adamant while dealing with these issues, especially if it's in the 3rd house and relates to property matters, given, because then you are working that karma out. And let's not forget that you also need to keep doing the japa or the mantras so that they help you mitigate some of the ill effects. These things you can also do a puja for it, and that puja has to be done, or should be done rather, in a Shiva temple. That will help you a great deal. So if you've liked this video, do share it, and please do not forget to put a comment when you have checked this yoga working in your charts, as we have discussed here. Do give in your comments, leave in your suggestions, because they help us to perform better, to give you a better video every time. With that, share, like, and spread the word. Till we meet again, stay safe, stay home. Thank you.